Alright, lads, so the year 2026 is officially here, and with that, within the year 2025, we did receive over 60 characters. 60 characters that even I myself was not able to keep up with, but I'd like to say I did a pretty good job, only missing a few characters here and there. And for the most part, the characters that I did miss, besides the swimsuit banner, because I did summon on that, but all the characters that I did miss here are pretty much characters that I really didn't even summon for. So in regards to banners that I summoned on, I thought I did pretty well this year, and let me know how your summons went in the comments below. But with that said, we're here to talk about every single character that did release in the year 2025, go over what Caleb did right with them, and what Caleb did wrong, and overall, were the banners even worth summoning for at that time. At the start of the year, in the month of January, we did receive 5 new characters. That's going to be a trend that we did see this year, is that we really only got 5 characters a month, and that stayed consistent throughout the entire year. Over the last couple of so years, especially after the 6th anniversary, there were a lot of end of month banners, for example, where it was just 2 characters, and 2 character end of months always are a lot more boring than what it would potentially be if it was always 3 characters. Even if that 3rd character isn't anything cool or it's a filler slot, it's always better when the bigger banners, the banners you're saving for end of month banners, do consist of 3 characters. And that's pretty much what we did see this entire year, besides one particular banner, but it was made up for the mid-month that followed that, where every mid-month was 2 characters and every end of month was 3 characters. It does mean less characters in a given year, but I think honestly it's fine. More time to work on the characters they are making, and we don't need 3 characters every 2 weeks. It's still absolutely insane after 10 years, we're still getting 5 to 6 characters a month every single month for 10 years straight. It's insane. But our first banner of the year was a Gin and also Toshiro. Honestly, this banner was a very easy skip. As expected, it is premium characters. At this point in the game, especially the amount of limited banners that we do get, it's just never really worth summoning on premium characters unless they are really good and special banners like we did see later in the year 2025. But coming off of a very exciting end of year, Ichigo, Senjumaru, and Arskin, I would like to think no one really summoned on this, and in a way, the banner did feel a bit repetitive. While it was nice to finally get a new Captain Gin, Toshiro had just received a character earlier, not earlier that year, but 6 months prior during the 9th anniversary. And in hindsight, we do know that he does get another character in around 5 months. So this Toshiro slot kind of just felt wasted. Maybe they should have done a better selection of characters here. Overall, for what it was, Caleb knew it, we knew it, it was a skip. It was a very easy skip. Going into January end of month, though, this was kind of a weird one, because for pretty much like 9-8 years, January end of month has always been Valentine's themed. So going into this year, we did get a 1000-year Blood War banner, and it was pretty exciting, because we did finally get a character a lot of us were waiting for, that being an Esno. Now, unfortunately, they did drop the ball here with this character. In terms of gameplay, he was actually very good, and I really do like how they incorporated the fear mechanic with this character. You know, they didn't make a whole new mechanic for him. Even the original one didn't have that, but the original one tried to do something unique by inflicting weakening and also slow. In this case, this character just inflicted weakening, but he had 3 different types of debuffs on his SA2, his Soul Bomb, and also EX move, which is really cool. This would have been a great way to start 2025 for our first end of month banner, but unfortunately at the time, the really only thing to discuss here was the fact that it wasn't a Esnot Vostandage. We previously received an Esnot the core before, during the 8th anniversary, so to kind of get the same character again and only have the Vostandage form appear in the Soul Bomb was a little bit disappointing, I will be honest. It kind of gave me vibes of early 2025 characters when we didn't have transform effects. But since we already received a technical base Esnot, the big question was like, why didn't we just have this exact same character, but in the Vostandage model? The visuals didn't even need to change that much, the models just needed to stay Vostandage, and I obviously would have been very happy with this character. At the time though, keep in mind he did only have Frenzy +3 in Guild Quest, and that was kind of an issue that we did see near the start of the year. I think near the end of the year, Frenzy 3 in Guild Quest is kind of fine. But things do change after the 10th anniversary. At this point, though, Frenzy 3 was for the most part just reserved for really good end-of-year anniversary characters. Would have liked some more Berserker, strong attack damage, full stamina, etc. onto this character, but overall he was fairly solid. Would have just liked a change in the way this character was presented, more so being in the Vostandage. Nanana was just another solid normal attack damage character. Just the start of how good normal attack damage characters will be, which maybe, to be fair, started with Arskin, who released a month prior. He was a character that had a good damage output, had an increased chance to fix stat elements. Finally, normal attack damage characters were being more than just normal attacks. they could actually do things. And then Driscoll came out and was kind of the funniest character of the banner here because no one expected Driscoll to be as good. But one of the big things about this character is that he was the last character to have the Rampage skill. And that skill does give you more damage the more kills that you do get. Caps out at 100%, very powerful skill. We've only had one character per attribute have this particular skill. So Driscoll getting it was super funny because he is kind of a no-named Quincy, let's be honest. Not even a no-name, but like not a popular Quincy. So to see him get some really good skills was super surprising to see, especially in a banner alongside Esnot, who you would think would be the star of the banner. In long term, I think he was because Driscoll's gameplay was kind of horrible. But it was super funny how well accurate they made him in a sense that, again, the character's shrift ability is all about getting kills, and the more kills he gets, the stronger he gets. Before this character came out, it was kind of a funny joke that he would get Rampage, so that was actually pretty cool to see. Overall, I did like the end of month banner, but I would have maybe liked to have seen a Valentine's themed banner since we did get a lot of Blood War characters this year. Especially when you consider going into the month of February. In this case, we did receive, again, 5 new characters. Technically, both of them were seasonals. The end of month banner being a 1000-year Blood War seasonal banner, and the mid-month just being a seasonal banner. Now, the mid-month banner that we did get featured Rin and also Yumachika, and honestly, this was a very bad banner that was just no means worth ever summoning on. If you spent orbs in this, you wasted orbs. The biggest problem with this banner was just from the visual standpoint, it's just super boring. No one really cares about Rin and Yumachika, and this technically was our Valentine's banner of the year. It's even made more weird when the characters themselves have a premium 6-star background instead of having a Valentine's themed background, so it made them look premium, but then they weren't premium. It was also kind of cool that they did kind of adapt characters from a filler episode, but in a way, because we didn't get Valentine's characters that year, it kind of felt uninspired. That instead of going out the way to make actual Valentine's units, they kind of just gave us 2 male characters too, which is unheard of. Caleb never missed an opportunity to sell a female in a seasonal outfit, so it was just very strange they went with this choice instead of doing an actual seasonal waifu banner, which for the most part has been a mainstay over the last 9 years in Parasol, besides this particular year. Maybe they made up for it the following banner with the end of month of Shinji, Ririka, and also Momo. It was an overall cool banner. Everyone likes Parasol characters. Caleb know that. We've had a lot of Parasol units in the year, over the years and more so. And I think the character selection was pretty cool to say the least. Shinji hadn't received a character for some time. I mean, technically he did get a character earlier that year, but since Dominate was a new status that Giselle did release later in the year 2024, it was cool to finally see a Shinji that did incorporate that new status element. Visually, I think Shinji made for a very core Parasol unit, and he was overall just a good character, but nothing super crazy. He was technically competing against a character like Owetsu, and technically for the time he did clear safer, but if you cared about Guild Quest scores, Owetsu was still the better character. So for the star SP character of the banner, didn't really have much going for him there, considering that Owetsu was a much better unit that released prior in the year 2024. Ririka was just a normal attack damage character, designed to be used alongside the end of year Fullbring Bankai Ichigo, and honestly, you just did not need her. And then Momo had some value as a ranged normal attack damage character. That Guild Quest phase definitely did need it, but in terms of value here, you really only had one good unit with Momo, which wasn't entirely needed. And if you did summon on this banner, it was kind of unfortunate because 2 weeks later, to kickstart the 10th anniversary celebration months ahead of time, we did get a really cool system called the photo print that let you pick any of the new characters. It was a really cool system. Even though I summoned on the banner, I didn't really regret it because I was happy just to get a really cool item for the first time to maybe give us higher expectations for a 10th anniversary, which unfortunately, as we all know, didn't really get any higher than that. This photo print ticket that we did get with this banner maybe set up too much of a higher, not even a higher expectation, but it set a standard that unfortunately was not followed through throughout the entire year. But this banner was cool. Ultimately, you probably were best skipping it. The following month, though, I actually do like the character lineup here. It just consisted of Aranka and Espada. The mid-month, it did feature Halibel and also Stark. Halibel was a nice inclusion. She hadn't received a character in some time. Was surprised that she didn't maybe get a seasonal unit, but this was a Halibel that we had not been given in the game, a base from Halibel. It's kind of been a trend over the last few years that every Espada that we have been getting has been in their base form. It's kind of annoying. Would like to see some resurrected Espada, but at least we kind of completed the checklist with Halibel getting a new character. And then Stark's inclusion was kind of just okay. Didn't really feel anything about this unit. We already done it in the past. But I guess they had to put someone with Halle Berry. Maybe it made sense to do a Stark. What I really did like was the end of month banner though, with Sunset Apache and also Mila Rose. It was a bit long overdue. At this point, we were deep into Core 2 characters, soon to get Core 3 characters later that year, and this was a Core 1 banner. I don't dislike it though. I kind of like going back and forward, so you never really know what to get, whether it's Core 1, 2, 3, and later this year, Core 4. But this was just a easy banner because it is a free character Bestia. They do have new designs, and I was pretty excited for it, truth be told. Overall, all 3 characters were actually pretty good. Sunset was a good lead for her guild quest. Apache was a good normal attack damage character, also for her guild quest. And then Mila Rose was a good Brave Battle unit. She did introduce Persistent Breaker, which of course has been the new meta, but crazy enough, not the most crazy Brave Battle character that we got this year. As a Mila Rose fan, I was pretty happy with how she did turn out. I always wanted her to be a Brave Battle character. She kind of just fits that gladiator theme. I don't know if it was a coincidence, but I kind of like the idea that Halle Berry did get a new character in the same month that Bestia did too. I don't think these were must summon characters though. So right now we kind of are 3 months into the year with no major big banner to summon on. That would soon change though, because the month of April was pretty stacked. In this case, we did get our first ever download celebration banner. To celebrate 100 million downloads, we did get a renewed version of Ichigo, a full holo version, and also Segunda Atapa Okyura. Specifically ones based off of the movie fight. That's what their specials are based off of, and I was a big fan of this banner. There were some disappointing things to come from this, but firstly, the positives. I think both characters were pretty fun to play with. But I really like their art. Honestly, this might be some of the best art in the game. And in a way, it's something that we've never seen before. Just characters getting one-off special backgrounds. And it just goes to show how good a character art can look in-game when they have a unique background that isn't the premium artwork, which is unfortunately something that we are going to see later that year. Overall, I thought this was a good start in a way to the 10th anniversary year. We got a big banner, a Barncar Live technically for the month of April. Overall, it was pretty good. Unfortunately, though, there was a big mistake that KLab did make that we would see a lot throughout the entire year. It was the Zenith summons. It was not a crown step up, so you were not guaranteed any new character in 10 steps. And that is an unfortunate trend that we did see throughout the entire year, which I think hurt a lot of banners. For mid-months, especially 2-character banners, I would not mind summoning on it if it is a 2-character banner guaranteed in 10 steps. 2,000 orbs for one of the characters that I both like? Sure, I'll go for it. But it being a Zenith summons was a bit greedy because it basically meant that you weren't guaranteed anything until 25 steps, and unfortunately people had to do that. But for mid-month characters, they were very solid, especially for the time. They had EX moves, they had superior strong attacks. Compared to the special banner that we got 2 months later, they do pale in comparison, as they were just Guild Quest characters. So over time, basically 2 months later, looking back, it did feel like, oh damn, they could have been better. But I think at the time of their release, it was an overall solid banner. Would have just liked to have seen the banner format change. 2 weeks later though, we did get our end of month April banner. This banner is usually a big deal, as it is technically Golden Week over in Japan. Whenever KLab decide to do it, it always comes with a special trailer and a big campaign. In this case, we did get a Magic Society banner, featuring 3 popular Stormritter, Esnot, Arskin, and also Giselle. All 3 of them getting their first time seasonals. I'm a big fan of all 3 Stormritters, so I was very excited for this banner. And the theming itself was also pretty cool. It is Magic Society characters, something that technically we haven't seen before. It's very similar though, and maybe a little bit repetitive compared to the Cacao Society characters. It's basically the same idea, but you just remove the chocolate aspect because that was Valentine's. But I thought gameplay was really good for Giselle and also Esnot. Arskin really didn't do much for me from a design standpoint and also a gameplay standpoint, as he was just a Linksaw farmer. But this was 2 good banners, I think, in the month of April. I think this was a solid month, and probably the one month that if you skipped all the past banners, you were saving for. Either Ichigo and Okyura, or Esnot, Arskin, and also Giselle. The following month, though, it kind of felt like a filler month, and it did start off with fillers, as we did get a characterizer Kon and also Ururu. Once more continuing the trend of just giving us premium filler characters as technically they're canon-ish as mid-month units, but both characters were quite mediocre. Ururu was just a support unit. Kon had basically no value going for him. Again, once more, very easy skip. Unfortunately, though, this was a banner that had the good step-up format that we should have saw maybe with Aizen and Byakuya later next month, or with Ichigo and also Okyura. You were guaranteed a character of your choice in 10 steps. They had the Mugetsu step-up format. That's what made the pre-anniversary for 9th anniversary super exciting, because it felt like a thank you. It gave you a character of your choice in just 10 steps. Couldn't beat that. Everyone summoned on that. But this banner having this with these characters, yeah, no one pretty much summons. The following banner, though, was a pretty cool banner, I will admit. It featured Toshiro, a zombie version, a zombie Rangiku, and also finally a Sunflower Mayuri. We were waiting a long time for this character. This is also something that we saw a lot throughout the year, where two characters in the same attribute, in the same banner. That before was a rarity, but it did happen a few times in the year 2025. It kind of makes sense though with Toshiro and Rangiku being characters because they do want to work together. Rangiku's inclusion in here was super surprising because no one expected her to get a zombie form. Literally, all she does in her zombie form is appear for one frame, and that is about it. But we can see why they did make the character, as it is literally just her using a Shikai. This could have been a normal premium Rangiku, but they just made her a zombie form and made it a Blood War character. Didn't really mind it. Toshiro was also pretty good, but he was competing against Gremmy, and most people didn't see the need for that. And then also Mayuri was a Gilka's character, which for the character a lot of people were waiting for was a bit disappointing because, again, friendly +3 in Guild Quest. Had a unique trap effect. Overall, I liked how he turned out. Would have loved to have seen the RGB form with this unit, but this banner also kind of felt like a skip, and it's a banner that I personally skipped too, as we were coming close to the 10th anniversary. Rumors were starting to rise that something big would happen in mid-month June, as something big happened in the previous year with Mugetsu. So I think a lot of people did skip this. It was a good banner. Meta standpoint, though, there was other alternative options, and I've been fine kind of about them. But going into the mid-month, we got a crazy banner with renewed versions of past anniversary characters, Byakuya and also Aizen. Byakuya was kind of expected, as we did get Mugetsu the year prior. We had also Full Hollow earlier that year, so it only made sense that they would start to maybe remake 5th anniversary characters. And they did do that with Byakuya, but instead we kind of just jumped forward in time and also got a 6th anniversary Aizen remake, which is actually really exciting. It might have been weird at the time, but in hindsight it did make sense, especially with the idea that Ichigo would get an anniversary character the following month. Both characters were very powerful, were 9th anniversary level, frenzy +3, immune to every stat as woman, both had EX skills, both had great strong attacks. Aizen in particular pretty much had the exact same kit as the 6th anniversary Aizen had, but now with a more useful skill set that is up to par with what we had with these characters. While he only had frenzy +2, he did a lot of damage multipliers, and he had a really good strong attack kit that could also inflict dominate, so we were slowly starting to get more dominate characters. And even though he didn't have status element plus, honestly I didn't mind it because dominate and drain with his kit is a very powerful combination. I was a big fan of this banner. Only problem that I had in a visual standpoint was again the artwork, as it did only feature premium background art, which I'm not a big fan of. Would have liked to have seen again some unique backgrounds like we saw with their original characters, but also what we did see with Okiura and Ichigo earlier that year. But of course, one big problem that we did see, again, something that we do see a lot for mid-month banners, especially post-10th anniversary, is that a lot of the hype for this banner was ruined because of the banner format. You know, previously with the 100 million download celebration, it was disappointing that it was a Zenith summons, but at least it was a Zenith summons. We didn't think it could get any worse than this, and it did, because K-Lab brought back the step-up format, where you're only guaranteed 1 5-star on step 6, and then after that, no more guarantees, no more discounts. That is absolutely outrageous for a 10th year celebration, a pre-anniversary banner, especially when the year prior had Mugetsu guaranteed in 10 steps. All they had to do was repeat that process, and maybe, if not, the worst case scenario, a Zenith summons, a Crown step-up summons, I don't know, anything would have been better than that terrible format, because people spent orbs on this banner. Why wouldn't you? It was a really powerful Aizen and Byakuya, really cool fan favorite forms, up-to-date skills, up-to-date visuals, but they just was not guaranteed. You could have spent 10,000 orbs and not got a single Byakuya. I thought we were past this type of banner. Fortunately, we didn't see it much throughout the rest of the year, but really did ruin what could have been a good pre-anniversary just because of the banner format. Is pretty much about it. Characters were good, but that was about it. 2 weeks later, though, we did get our standard end-of-month swimsuit banner. Character selection I actually really did like. Finally, Yoruichi got a new character, and since these are Blood War units, you do have the Yoruichi Blood War hairstyle. Personally, I was a fan. Little Toll was surprising to see. She didn't really offer much from a gameplay standpoint, as she was just a farming unit, but it was cool to see her, I guess. And then also Misaki, for me, was the star of the banner. Not only is she a really good normal attack damage character, who, to be fair, at the time, people, myself included, were saying she's useless, but she ended up being one of the more impactful characters this year, just due to her boost effect, and also the fact that she does give your entire team 20% more damage. It's something that we're still using to this day, almost 7 months later, but I was overall just a big fan of this character design. It's one of my favorite swimsuit characters in the game. And even Kubo commented on how cool it was that she was in the game as a seasonal unit. Would love to see more seasonal Misakis. Like always with these swimsuit banners, they are the last banner before the new big celebration for an anniversary. So summon on this is always hit or miss. It's really only summon if you really like the characters, if you're a fan of the swimsuits, but also what you're willing to not spend on an anniversary banner. Because of course the following month was the big 10th anniversary celebration, a banner they've been hyping up for the entire year. And, you know, as we all know, didn't really pan out the best as the celebration was a bit lackluster. But if we are only focusing on the characters here, the characters were actually very good. Ichigo and Rukia were finally anniversary headliners together. That's something that we've been waiting for a very long time. Unfortunately, the surprise was ruined a bit as it was leaked multiple times through K-Lab and no one else. But it still made for an exciting reveal because character design, they were actually pretty good. You know, they're a bit controversial in a way that it's quite a messy design. Ichigo has a lot going on. Rukia, I think, looks as good as she could be. I know some people wanted to see the white hair with her design, but I was over impressed with the character's choice and also visuals, especially Ichigo's summon. I think it's one of the best summons in the game. Just a super cool animation and some of the cool things that we do see when it comes to unique original characters for an anniversary, which is something that everyone wanted after what happened during the 9th anniversary, where it was just canon characters. We also saw that too in the 8th anniversary. So I feel like K-Lab did the best job they could have done from a 10th anniversary character standpoint. Ichigo, Rukia, the two main characters, back to original designs. And from a gameplay standpoint, they were both also very good. Some of the best characters in the game. Frenzy +3, unreal damage numbers, good strong attacks. Both had EX moves, superior strong attacks on Ichigo, SA2 and 3. They had a lot going on. They were immune to Stasm at 200% resistance. And also, they did introduce EX skills, a new mechanic to the game where the first slot in any link slot can offer skills. They kept it tame with these characters just being damage multipliers, but we did start to see some really cool, unique EX effects later that year. And then, of course, a week later, to wrap up the 10th anniversary, technically, we did get our canon banner for the anniversary, and this time, good timing too, because Core 3 of 1000 Year Blood War did end 7 months prior. So this was now the time and the best time to finally introduce Core 3 characters. The big question was, who are they going to be? Eyes were on Bankai Shunsui, or at least Oryu Renji, because that was a very big fight. Unfortunately, they did actually give us an Oryu versus Renji. The banner itself, though, I think I have some hot takes regarding this. Character choice was really good. Renji, absolutely amazing character. One of the best characters released of all time, in my opinion. Super powerful, crazy damage output, good visuals. It's exactly what we wanted with a Renji that we didn't get when we got Core 2 Renji. So it was very fortunate that he had a very exciting and really cool animated fight that translated into a really cool and powerful character. But where I would have changed things around personally was maybe not include Toshiro. Now, again, I feel like I'm like the only one with this hot take. I just don't think Toshiro is that cool. While I do like that he did get a Blood War unit, and while I don't dislike that he's a good character, because he's also really good, again, these characters kept up with what 10th anniversary did introduce. Renji even maybe took it a step further and beyond. But from a visual standpoint, since Jushiro's only thing in Blood War was him summoning Mimihagi, essentially, it didn't translate into that fun of a unit. His visuals suck. They could have incorporated more Mimihagi effects to make him look cooler. Unfortunately, they didn't do that outside of his SA3. I get a lot of hate when I say that regarding Toshiro. I don't dislike that he got a character. I don't dislike that he got a good character. I welcomed it because I wanted to see that too. But for an anniversary, for him to be one of the playable strong attack damage characters and to not even have a good strong attack visual set was a little bit disappointing. And maybe they could have switched him around with Uryu. Because Uryu, finally in his Vostan ditch, one of the few anime original characters that we did get in the game, was a bit disappointing at the first initial reaction because he was a Brave Battle character. I think Uryu and Renji should have been the strong attack damage characters of the banner. That would have been overall more exciting. And that third character, instead of Jushiro taking the Brave Battle spot, maybe he should have just been someone else. But in terms of Brave Battles, Uryu was very powerful, super broken, and still the best character 6 months later. And over time, I think a lot of us did welcome the fact that he was the Brave Battle unit because we all understand that he's going to get a Season 4 1000 Year Blood War character, and also he is going to get another character from Season 3 based on his fight with Ichigo, because this one was strictly based on the fight with Renji, where he does use different moves, and there's still a whole nother moveset they can use for this character with a potential Ichigo Uryu banner in the future, maybe later this year. So yeah, overall, I do like what the 10th anniversary characters did bring. They were all different. They were all cool. I maybe feel like Chad should have been the Brave Battle character here, because that way we could have included pretty much every main character. I mean, Orihime would have been missing, right? But she gets a character soon later. I don't know, though. I know Uryu is going to get another character. It's not that big of a deal in the long term. But I really feel like this banner would have been more exciting, at least for me personally, if Uryu was the SP character alongside Renji, because then it would have felt really cool because it's two characters that fight against each other, and they're both also just being really powerful SP units. But continuing on it to the next month. Now, this is a month I kind of have a problem with, because one of the things that I don't think I spoke about just yet is that we've had a lot of seasonals this year. A bit too many, in my opinion. Surprisingly, we had more seasonal banners this year than 1000 Year Blood War banners. Now, technically, a lot of the seasonal banners were also 1000 Year Blood War, but the way I see it, it's either seasonal or Blood War. I don't care about the availability of the characters, whether they're in tickets, for example. If it's a seasonal Blood War banner, to me, I'm treating it as a seasonal. And when we have a look at the month of August in particular, it was 2 seasonal banners back-to-back and also both swimsuit characters. So this would have meant it's our 3rd swimsuit banner in the course of like 2 to 3 months. It just felt a bit repetitive, especially considering the fact that the first banner after the anniversary, the mid-month banner, right, was a Kubo playable art banner. I actually really like the concept of it, where it takes designs, concepts that were featured in Kubo's art that isn't seen anywhere else in the anime or manga, for example, and then turning that into characters. The idea itself was cool, and I really do like the idea that it did use Kubo's art. Now, that understandably so got a lot of hate, saying it's lazy. I personally really liked it. I think it made the characters more unique, made them stand out a tad bit, and at least in the album, it looks pretty cool. Unfortunately, as you'll see here, I didn't get a single Kubo art character though. Because one, the anniversary just ended, or at least the 2 big banners, so no one's going to summon on a mid-month banner, right? Especially knowing that Burn the Witch was coming up. We already had the announcement of another Burn the Witch collab. The characters were also leaked months ahead of time. We all knew the end of month was going to be Nini, Noelle, and also Macy. But also, again, a problem that we did see after the 10th anniversary started, technically, is that every mid-month banner had a bad step-up format where you weren't guaranteed a character until step 20. A character of your choice, that is, so it's a bit better than a Zenith summons, but worse than a Crown step-up summon. When it's 2 characters, when it's a mid-month banner where technically less effort is being put into it, it's understandable why you might be guaranteed one of them in 10 steps. Perfect world, we could get a Crown step-up summon every banner, including end of months. But I think a lot of us right now are fine with Crown step-ups being for mid-months, and it just sucks that a lot of the big banners, especially every banner post-10th anniversary, just removed the Crown step-ups. Not like I really would have pulled for these characters, but maybe, to be fair, they did have good value. Rangiku was a really good EX skill for a character like Misaki that makes any Guild Quest team good, and then also Neriel was basically a power version of Misaki, which is a really good thing. The banner itself was pretty decent, but again, just you're not guaranteed anything until 20 steps, so it just was never really worth pulling on any of these banners, and I would have loved to have seen them maybe released outside of an anniversary. That way they could have had a better format, because I would love to summon on them. But also, given that this is a Kubo playable art banner, technically the possibilities were endless in what they could have done, and maybe doing a swimsuit banner in the midst of us about to get another swimsuit banner, when we just got one, wasn't really the best thing to do. Because again, then it just felt repetitive, getting a bunch of swimsuit banners in a row. Because the following end of month was Burn the Witch. Overall, solid banner per se. Nini was very good, kind of kept up with the 10th anniversary, did start with friendly +3, good damage output, good strong attacks. Nini was surprisingly really good. Like the artwork, like the designs. Macy was a surprise because while the banner did get leaked ahead of time, we never knew who the 3rd character was or what the design would be. So seeing Macy was pretty cool, and she was also a really good normal attack damage character. But unfortunately, Noelle got the short end of the stick here, just being a Guild Quest unit, no EX skill, no EX move, just felt a little bit lackluster for a post-10th anniversary unit, and also a Burn the Witch collab. But a lot of us were waiting for this banner for a long time, even before it did get announced and also leaked. So yeah, it was a very easy summon for me. It just wanted the characters. It was our first Burn the Witch banner in over 2 years, so not too bad. But they definitely could have done it well a little bit better. The following month, we got another Kubo playable art. Now, this might be my biggest problem with that. Again, besides the fact that it didn't have a good step-up format, is that we just got it back to back to back. And again, like I already mentioned, morale at this point was at an all-time low due to the anniversary situation. So no one was really big fans of anything Brave Souls was doing, especially not these Kubo playable art characters. And I feel like that kind of swayed people away from the concept a little bit. But also at the same time, both of these characters here, Aaroniero and also Rukia, were normal attack damage characters. While at this point, normal attack damage characters were actually really good, they weren't really getting Guild Quest skills, and if they did, they were getting Flurry +3. They were having unique mechanics on their strong attacks, barriers, boosts, heals, etc. I really liked the direction they took with normal attack damage characters, but again, there's just a lot of controversy in the game that you couldn't really appreciate any new character releasing at this time. But my problem right now was more so the repetitiveness, in a way, of the Kubo playable art banner. In a way, it's a project, it's a special thing. I guess it was for the 10th anniversary. It maybe made sense that it happened at month to month, but getting it back to back just felt a bit too much. If you didn't like the idea of it, this was 3 months worth of banners that you would just have zero interest in. While it's different, this isn't on the same level of 1000 Year Blood War, movie characters, or Carnival Your World, but when those big projects happened for the very first time, they were spread apart, one every 3 months, for example. It gave you time to save, it gave you time to take in the other characters that were coming out, seasonals, premiums, etc. Not like anyone would save for these characters, but again, even a collector, for example, just them releasing back-to-back every single month, which is a bit too much, and probably my least favorite thing about how they handled this Kubo playable art banner. But fortunately, the end of month that month was a Chad, Ganju, and also Yoruichi. Now, Yoruichi, we already did kind of do a ranking video going over my favorite characters of the year. Yoruichi's perfect. Honestly, an example of a character done right. She's very powerful with good strong attacks, good skills. But also, most importantly, it's a hype character. A Yoruichi from the final episode of 1000 Year Blood War Season 3, Raijin Senkei. It's a character that technically we received in the past, but that was a transforming unit, so it was a kind of half a character. This one was just focused straight on the brief fight with Asking before that later form that is going to happen, that we are going to see later this year, at least in anime form. But Yoruichi's visuals were great. Overall, one of my favorite characters released this year, if not favorite character released this year. That's how great of a unit she was. A direct upgrade to her original 1000 Year Blood War character. As for Ganju and Chad, they were just cool. Again, Ganju was just another normal attack damage character. If anything, at this point, the sentiment was that we're getting too many normal attack damage characters, because in this month, Yoruichi was the only strong attack damage character. At least she was a good one, though, so it makes up for it. But Chad was just a brave battle character, just pushing what Uryu basically started. Not nearly as good as Uryu, but just another character to use. And Ganju was just a good normal attack damage character for Path to Unity, but also Guild Quest. The following month, again, another playable art banner. Nothing really to say that we haven't said. Repetitive. Bad step-up format. The following end of month, though, kind of a similar trend where we only got one strong attack damage character in that particular month. Yachiru, Nanao, Renji, and Ichigo were all normal attack damage characters, leaving Nemu to be the spotlight unit. If you only like strong attack damage characters, technically this month and the month prior, you only got one character. So maybe they should have based it a little bit better, spread the characters out between normal attack damage and strong attack damage. But the end of month, I actually did really like the layout. A lot of times when it comes to banners in general, it's kind of random when it comes to 1000 Year Blood War. But this one kind of made sense. I mean, Nemu and then now got the spotlight back to back. They also changed the order in how the anime presented it versus the manga, where their episodes again did air back to back, because it's 2 big moments for a lieutenant, right? And it's the last big moment for these characters. Yachiru was a leftover character from Core 2. Glad they finally got around to doing her, and it made sense to pair her alongside the other 2 lieutenants, female lieutenants, that actually show something. Nemu's visuals, I think, were really good, especially the Soul Bomb. Only problem with her is that as the only strong attack damage character of the month, why did they give her Fronty +3 in Guild Quest? Nemu should have really been as good as Yoruichi to kind of carry that month as the strong attack damage character. Yachiru was just another ranged normal attack damage character for Guild Quest. Nothing super unique, but I did like her gameplay compared to her original 1000 Year Blood War character. And then the Now was surprisingly the spotlight unit, adding a new mechanic, the Aura effect, where if this character is in your team, you're getting extra stats. She's also a team support for Soripus. And you also get the rainbow glow around the screen, which I think looks really cool. And a benefit of the anime giving that really cool design choice for her compared to how the manga characters did it originally with the original Nanao, where it was like a yellow light. When the Now released, I really saw the potential in normal attack damage characters, even though, again, a lot of people didn't like how many we were getting. But it was cool nonetheless that Nanao was actually a very powerful unit. Don't think this banner was a must summon by any means, but if you were a fan of the characters, it wasn't a bad banner to summon on. A few days later, though, to be fair, because of the Brave Fest that went on in Japan, we did actually get confirmation of the next banner being finally the character that we voted for. It was Aizen and also Bambietta, an Orient Society Bambietta and a Spirit Society Aizen. Both characters are very good. I welcomed this. They were really cool designs that we had not seen in a while. When was the last time we had a Spirit Society or Orient Society banner? Both were popular characters, and again, both designs are pretty good here. Aizen was a really good strong attack damage character. Bambi was a really good normal attack damage character, but again, bad step-up format, not guaranteed in 10 steps, wasn't worth pulling on. And maybe I think Keller took a bit too long to get these characters out. Maybe the plan was always to release them during the 10th anniversary, but we ended up voting for these characters back in early 2024, January 2024, and it took like almost 2 years for them to come out. There was also another character that we did vote for, a remake that is probably going to happen later this year. We don't know who that character is, but maybe they should have been included in this banner to make a free character banner. Because unfortunately, the following end of month was another Burn the Witch banner. So again, just a bunch of seasonals. This month was nothing but seasonals, and also really disappointing with how the end of month did turn out. It was a 2-character end of month. Again, already stated multiple times, no one likes 2-character end of months. But both Nini and Noelle were designed to be used in the same team, so it felt very samey. They were both also the same attribute. That was kind of a trend that we were seeing again. Bambietta and also Aizen were both power, used in different teams, fortunately enough, but Nini and Noelle, remakes of seasonal characters. I feel like maybe we could have thrown in a Bruno there or something to make the 3rd unit. Designs were really cute. I like the designs, but as you can see here, this is the first ever Burn the Witch banner that I completely skipped because it just wasn't worth it. They were technically both designed to replace Fullbring Banka Ichigo, and I'm fine just using him. I think this banner was a bit too early, truth be told, especially because if you summoned on Burn the Witch previously, these swimsuit characters, you know, you likely already have all the filler. And even someone like me that I would like to think as a collector that does try to get all Burn the Witch characters, I'm just not summoning on a banner that I basically summoned on 2 months prior, for only 2 new characters too. If anything, this banner should have been switched with the following banner, because in the month of December, our final month, the most recent banners, we did get a free character mid-month to make up for the fact that Nini and Noelle were only 2 characters. So we technically did get 5 characters every month, and this was a much better banner. It was 3 characters, would have worked better as an end of year, but fortunately because it was an end of year banner, this was actually unironically one of the best banners of the year. It was 3 characters. Because the 10th anniversary was finally over, we went back to the crown step up where you're guaranteed one of them on step 10, and also individual rates were a lot higher. Normally it's 1.5% chance for a free character banner, 0.5% chance each. But they removed the unfeatured pull rate but kept the fillers at 9, so there was actually a 2% chance for you to get a new character. Giselle, Naninya, or also Basby. Character choicing, I like it. It's expected all the Bambis are going to get a bunch of seasonals, but I do like their inclusion, especially as last year's mid-month December was also Christmas Stunritters. So it kind of feels like the trend now that every December we're going to get more Stunritters in Christmas outfits. As for characters, I'd say Giselle is probably the best of the 3. Meninya was okay, felt underpowered though in her guild quest because of the HP situation going on, and then Basby was just a farming unit. That then takes us to our most recent end of year banner, the banner that we spoke about a lot. Definitely not a perfect home run hit though, let's be honest. Aizen, I think, is a really fun and strong unit, like how that character turned out. We did speak about him yesterday. But again, maybe a bit repetitive with the fact that we just got 3 Aizens, really good Aizens, earlier that year. The Spirit Society Aizen did happen literally 2 months before. So even though Aizen is pretty much like the only character in this banner that was done justice in a way, and I really like how he did turn out, I'm happy we have him. But I feel like maybe they could have done a better character. I've been really pushing for a Bankai Shinsui, Bankai Yamamoto banner, and I think that maybe would have been a bit better, because again, we just got Aizen 2 months prior. We had the 6th anniversary one earlier that year. We had 3 Aizens, very powerful Aizens, part of big celebrations in the course of basically 7 months. Maybe the Aizen choice wasn't the best thing to do. Ikaku stinks up the banner. Even though, yeah, he took the Brave Battle slot, it's good in the long term. I guess short-term hype, Ikaku's not cool. At least not this version. And also from a gameplay standpoint, obviously the character doesn't really impact the Brave Battle meta that much. You can probably skip and be fine. And that's mostly just to go to show how powerful Uryu is a character. And then Shinsui, a character that a lot of people are disappointed by, strictly due to the fact that his damage output is not what you expect for an end-of-year character, as he was only given Frenzy +2. And this isn't even a Frenzy +2 free in Guild Quest situation. He literally just does not have Frenzy +3. He did continue to introduce the aura mechanic that now did bring 2 months prior, and he also brought a new mechanic, a trigger boost effect, which I think is really cool, and Shinsui maybe makes the most sense to introduce that new mechanic, as all strong attacks represent each done, and after using all 3 strong attacks in order, you do get a more powerful Soul Bomb and an extra animation. The character was almost perfect, but they really fumbled by not giving him good damage output. It's just Frenzy +2. Makes you question, why did they do that? We all like pulling for powerful characters, and when you don't have a powerful character, you're just going to be disappointed and just think of what could have been different. So unfortunately for the end of the year banner, even though I was super excited for it, every character here kind of had a problem. Ikaku was kind of just whatever, no one cared about him, which in of itself is probably a problem. Aizen, while again most people like the unit, some people don't like how repetitive it is that Aizen got another character when they could have done someone maybe cooler, Bankayama, and then Shunsui again, just a bit underwhelming for an end of year character. Especially as someone as cool as Shunsui using his Bankai. But yeah, with that said, that's pretty much the recap of the year in under an hour, fortunately. There's a lot to talk about when we're talking about all 60 units in. Overall, I feel like it was a decent year. I feel like they could have just done a bit better with some of the power creep in terms of, Shunsui just being a bit better. But I think the biggest problem is just, in a way, repetitive. We got so many things very similar back to back. So many Aizens back to back. So many seasonals back to back. Burn the Witch banners back to back. And in my opinion, just too many seasonals. I would much prefer, even maybe if it's less hype, I don't know. I'm sure there's some hype premium end of months they can do. And I do understand they kind of have to store 1,000 Year Blood War. They can't release everything, and then we have nothing to get for like 6 months until the final season does air. So I get they do have to stall it. And earlier at the start of the year, I was actually down. I was like, you know what? I don't mind every end of month going between 1,000 Year Blood War and seasonal. That's what it was pretty much until the anniversary. But again, all these seasonals here, all the Burn the Witch banners back to back. Just, I don't dislike seasonals. I welcome it. I just think we had it way too much near the end of the year. Not a single premium banner in sight post 10th anniversary. That in itself isn't even out of the ordinary in a way. Last year we only had one premium banner post 10th anniversary. Everything else was seasonal or Blood War. And even before that, when we weren't getting a bunch of Blood War banners like this, they always just make a bunch of limited banners throughout the end of the year. 10th anniversary to end of year is rarely ever premium. But in this case, maybe the Kubo playable art banners could have been spread out a bit more. I don't know. I will say, though, even though I do have my gripes with these characters, I would say the one good thing this year, honestly, was the characters. No year is ever perfect. There's always going to be something to nitpick, right? But I'm relatively happy with the characters that we did get. Going forward into 2026, I'm really not sure what I want. Again, maybe less seasonals, to be fair. But I'm excited to look forward to more Core 3 characters. Core 2 characters that we're still waiting for. Vostan, Ditch, Bambis, for example. We also do have Core 4 characters happening next year, which is going to be super exciting. Sorry, this year. We are in 2026 now. And also, maybe finally at Bankayama at the same time, if they continue up with the pre-anniversary stuff, I'm excited to see maybe a 5th anniversary Ichigo remake. Who would go with him? I'm not too sure. But I think if anything, even though we just had the 10th anniversary, I'm maybe more excited for the 11th anniversary with the possibilities that what it could potentially be. We do know 1,000 Year Blood War, the final season, is airing this year at the time the anniversary is going to start. So Kid better go crazy, better do some big characters, big stuff, especially knowing that we are going to get, again, Core 4 characters, 3 in particular, this year during the anniversary. Either way, in the comments below, let me know how you like to feel about the characters that did release this year. I'm curious to know what you have to say, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, and peace.